So, as of just over a week ago, Minecraft released several new blocks. They revealed them at Minecraft Live, and they put them in a snapshot the day later, and I thought, okay, cool, new blocks, neat. Yeah, I'll use those when they come out. And then I booted up the snapshot, and then I started building. And then I started figuring out how to use the blocks that you see behind me, and came up with some pretty good guidelines, if I do say so myself. You know, I don't want to be bragging. And then I thought, hey, what's the point of knowledge if you don't share it? Maybe I should actually record a YouTube video instead of just cutting down my streams. And then I spent about an hour trying to configure my video settings. It still doesn't look amazing, but we'll roll with it. But anyway, here's some tips on how to use the new 1.20 blocks. Alright, let's start with the big boy first. Bamboo. And right here, it's next to all of the yellow blocks in the game that I could come up with, except some of them, because they're either transparent or glowy. The thing with bamboo is that it's quite a bright block. And you don't realise that looking at it compared to all of these brighter blocks. And the reason I bought these out was to see, could I come up with a good gradient for a kind of yellow now that we've got a bit of flexibility with that colour? The answer is no. It's a good way to demonstrate how bright bamboo is compared to its surroundings. Because this looks rather dull compared to all of these bright colours over here. But if we compare it to the more muted things over here, it looks brighter. And even the more muted colours of the sponge, it makes it look brighter in comparison compared to over here. And that's very important for bamboo because it is such a brightly coloured yellow block. You've really got to know where to use it. And what you want to use it with is, well, it depends how you want to use it. If it's kind of the centerpiece, you know, this build is made out of bamboo, then you want to put it with some maybe duller colours. But if it just wants to fit in, you know, made some walls out of it, made a roof out of it, you want to stick it with some brighter ones so that it looks a little less jarring in comparison. So, for example, look at these wood gradients, which one on the left is quite satisfying, actually. I do quite like that. But anyway, the more muted colours over here, it sticks out like a sore thumb. Doesn't really work. Switch it with, oh, still doesn't work. Doesn't fit anywhere in this. So if you have a colour palette like this, it'll stick out. And that's not a bad thing. You want to make something made out of bamboo a centerpiece, you want to draw attention to it, go ahead, use it. But if you don't, you're much better off using it with these blocks. Here's a little thatched roof house that I came up with. It turns out, if they add a versatile yellow block and they add a bunch of variation, what would the... what's it called? Not you. Mosaic version. You could have a lot of fun with having something a little bit more kind of jagged and uneven. So if we have a look here, and I'm going to put the reference image on the side of the screen just so that people can kind of see where I'm coming from with these other colours. It's got a lot of full squares in along with the stairs, and it's got the mosaic mixed with just the regular planks, and even some different colours in to kind of reflect the fact that thatched roofs tend to look quite ragged, and they're quite difficult to maintain. But I threw together this just to show off a bit of a concept, you know, using it along with the more brightly coloured wood to see how it works quite well. And just to give an example of how the bamboo can be used as something more than just another wood, you know, it's not the hay block, it's not, you know, actual thatch, but doesn't matter, it looks like it, and it works. And then over here on this side, just a more simpler version for if you're making it in survival and don't want to collect all of the other types of wood, or even if you just don't really want to stick all these extra bits in it. And here you can see as well, even without the different colours adding a bit of shading, the mixing up the blocks and the stairs, mixing up the mosaic and the planks, and even smaller details like having bits of thatch hanging off the side by adding trapdoors and slabs can really work well. Now over here we have something a little bit bigger that I may have gone a little bit overboard when making it. But it's kind of a platform, balcony type outdoor area. Food and drink and all that, which I use with the bamboo. And we've got regular bamboo hanging out outside. Because I thought it was fun. But one thing I'll point out before going inside and having a look is I put moss all around here just kind of scattered about, and that serves two purposes. One is that moss carpets aren't a full block, so they can add a nice little bit of extra depth to the side over here. And 2, moss is way more brightly coloured than grass, especially in this biome. And the same also applies for the azalea leaves up here and the bamboo over here. And that all ties together to make the bamboo planks and all that kind of thing just a little less glaring on the eyes. So what I've also found coming in is that oak works really well with bamboo. I have apparently accidentally left a letter on that sign, but we have a little bar over here, and it works out quite well. Adds a little bit of variety, but while still having the flexibility, and we kept a bit more of a limited colour palette, and it works well with that too. I also really like this technique of having really ragged looking floors by using stairs, planks, and the strip block. I think it works really well. But anyway, one thing to note as well is that we've been using scaffolding as tables for a while, but it works very well now that we have bamboo to go with it. And they're slightly different colours, which is a little bit annoying, but not really any that makes it stick out. So we've got some grey candles on here to match the stone over there. We've got a little chair that's been pulled out just to add a little bit of variety over here. And they all match the tables, which is quite nice. And one final thing to note is the water around it. The nice thing about water is it's bright blue, which is sometimes good, sometimes not, and it really depends on maybe your texture pack or your shaders, but in vanilla Minecraft, bright blue. And that means it's a complementary colour to the yellow of the bamboo. And if you don't know what a complementary colour is, it means it's opposite it on the colour wheel. And these work really well when coming up with colour palettes, because with bamboo's yellow, this kind of dark blue or even a purple, they work very well together because of that kind of complementary colours. And as a side note, that is why red and green also work very well. They're complementary colours. But this video isn't about them. I just dropped my microphone. Next up, we got a fun little display I made for bookshelves and chiselled bookshelves, which are quite a fun block to work with because they have a oak frame outline, so most of your kind of bigger, more detailed bookshelf displays will have oak in it. But the reason that these walls are here is because they're the colours of the books themselves. You have a look at these, it lines up here, and over here it's not quite as neat, but these are the colours used in the bookshelf. Now, the trick to using both types of bookshelves is to, if you want to throw in like a rug or some kind of coloured plant, most plants are coloured, you want to use the same colours that are in the bookshelf rather than using a new one. So for example, if you're using these bookshelves, pink wouldn't really work, but if you've got this, the pink would work because it lines up. Which means that colours that appear on both are quite helpful if you want to throw in a rug or a different type of wood, because it also frees up these types of woods. These appear on the colours of those bookshelves, and those can be really good if you want to make chairs or tables or even just extra shelves, because wood is some of the most versatile type of block in the game. Now over here we've got kind of the mother of all bookshelf walls. Got a little cutout of a library room. And you'll see that I've actually used 3 different types of blocks as the shelves or the books or whatever, because before what we'd do is we'd use bookshelves and then the sides of looms in order to make them look like empty bookshelves. But now we actually kind of have an empty bookshelf block. But the more the merrier, really. That doesn't mean you have to stop using looms. So I just kind of tied it in here. I didn't use the completely empty chiselled bookshelves as much because of it, but as of right now, as of this first snapshot, you can't just put the books in anywhere. It has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But that still lets you add quite a bit of variety, and kind of variety is the spice of life. Just having a flat wall is boring. So I've added little shelves over here with a skull and a lantern. I've got a little lectern area with a fire hazard next to it, just to give it a little bit more character. And that ties in with having, this one's only got 2 books in it, this one's got 4, this one's got 5. It just gives it a bit more character and a bit more variation. And of course, the blue rug down here, like what I was saying, ties into the blue here, into the blue here. This kind of pulls the entire room together. Also, the carpet on top of wool trick is really fun. It makes it look like a nice little soft carpet, and I love that. And it's the same with the cyan over here with the candles. But of course, a big old suspicious secret library with a skull and a lantern and several different spooky candles. I mean, what would it be without a secret door? Oh, hello, sir. Am I interrupting you? Oh, okay, goodbye. Now, hanging signs are a really interesting addition to Minecraft because they don't have a huge amount of versatility outside of their intended role. You know, they hang, they're signs, they look very nice up against a block. But at the end of the day, they do their job. But that doesn't mean you can't be creative with it. So my goal with this little build is to come up with a function for the signs that isn't just, you know, using it as a hanging sign. So I came up with this. And it was originally supposed to be maybe a bedroom, and it's turned into more of an office. But what's important is that I've used these warped signs as little, maybe beads or bits of fabric draped down. And they add a fun little shape to this kind of area, you know. We can throw in the carpet as well. The banner moves slightly in the wind, which adds a nice effect. And the warped wood just looks really nice with anything cyan. So I also threw in these painted fences along this side part. It's kind of divider, because it may be that part of the fence part is painted. It might be, you know, maybe that's got a blanket draped over it. You can use your imagination. Either way, it adds quite a nice little bit of just variation, bit of variety, and adds a little bit of personality. And I'll just show you over here as well. We've also, if we want to have it a little lower down, we attach it to a chain and it looks great. But there's all sorts of ways you can just have a bit of a messy layout. Make it look a little bit kind of haphazardly draped down. And then over here we've got a little bamboo stool with a frog here hard at work. I say hard at work, he hasn't got a book to write in yet, he might be putting it off, but he's certainly having a look at, well, this painting, I guess. Over here we've got the chiselled bookshelves, specifically on their side, so you don't actually see the bookshelf part. And those are just to show the kind of new texture that they actually did also show off in the Minecraft Live. Then you can just use it as a trim for a wall, and it works quite well. Now over here at the entrance, this kind of calls back to what I was talking about over there with using a bit more of a limited colour palette. You see the red in this painting and the red over here with the mangrove work quite well together because it just kind of ties the room together. And the same goes for the green, what with the green over here and the green of the stem and even the green of the frog. It all works quite well, gives it a bit more of a consistent colour palette while still keeping it quite bright. And they're complementary colours, red and green. But over here as well, I thought this was quite fun. If you put signs, and you can use crimson and mangrove, you can use just one, you can use a completely different type of sign, it doesn't matter. You have what looks here to be maybe just signs hanging off each other. It's also quite a nice bead curtain, and you can just walk through it with no problems. It adds a nice little bit of privacy without sticking a door in. Now the banners and the bead curtain aren't the only ways to use hanging signs. And of course, as using them as hanging signs, but over here I've created a little kind of overhang area. I'm not good with the technical terms. Added little hanging signs if you look behind. And they look quite nice as bunting. So it's just a little design you may want to use, just to add a little bit more character to the outside of your builds. That's everything that I came up with in the week or so since the snapshot. And I hope you find some of that useful. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!